Hello everyone and welcome to Retail Archaeology. Today we'll be taking a look at Chuck E. Cheese's. Chuck E. Cheese's got its start in 1977 as Chuck E. Cheese's Pizza Time Theater, and it was founded by Atari co-founder Nolan Bushnell. What we're looking at here is an abandoned Chuck E. Cheese's location in Mesa, Arizona. This location opened in 1984, and what's interesting about it is it originally opened as a showbiz pizza place. Showbiz Pizza got their start in 1980 and was founded by Robert Brock in creative engineering, and there's kind of an interesting story as to how Showbiz Pizza became a competitor to Chuck E. Cheese's. Chuck E. Cheese's experienced a lot of success early on, and that attracted a lot of people who were interested in investing in franchises, and Robert Brock was one of those people who was very interested. In 1979, he signed a multi-million-dollar franchising agreement and had plans to open hundreds of Chuck E. Cheese locations across the United States. He shortly backed out of that agreement though when he saw the advances in animatronic technology that were being made by companies like Creative Engineering, so he decided to go on business with them and start Showbiz Pizza Place. By 1984, Chuck E. Cheese's ended up filing for bankruptcy, and then they were purchased by Showbiz Pizza Place. In 1990, they decided to unify both of the brands under the Chuck E. Cheese's name, and this location was actually one of the first ones picked to test that concept. And by 1992, all the Showbiz Pizza Places were rebranded as Chuck E. Cheese's. It's weird to see this location empty now because I actually used to come to this specific location as a kid. I had birthday parties here and went to friends' birthday parties. I played Spy Hunter for the first time. I played a lot of arcade games here for the first time, so it just kind of leaves me with a little bit of a pit in my stomach to see it like this now. It also seems a lot smaller inside than I remember it being as a kid. Chuck E. Cheese operates a number of corporate-owned locations, and there's also franchise-owned locations. As of today, there's only one corporate-owned location and 3 franchise locations left in the Phoenix area. This location and another abandoned location we'll look at later on in the video were also both franchise locations. The Phoenix area is one of the largest markets in the United States, so if Chuck E. Cheese is starting to struggle here, it may be an interesting canary in the coal mine situation for the rest of the company and how their future looks. Now let's take a look at one of the operating locations in the Phoenix area. This location is in Chandler, Arizona, and it opened in 2015. And the same franchise holder I mentioned earlier owns this one as well, and it was actually relocated from a location they had in Phoenix that ended up not being a very nice part of town anymore, so they decided to move the store to a much nicer location. This footage was filmed on a Saturday afternoon back at the end of December. We were here for a family member's birthday party, and as you'll see in the footage, birthday parties are kind of their bread and butter now.
I now introduce to you our master of ceremonies, Chucky. Hey, everyone! Thank you. It's great to be here with you to celebrate these amazing birthday stars.
I always feel bad for the guy in the Chuck E. Cheese suit. He couldn't even see where he was going. He needed help to find his way to the stage. In this footage, I've gone ahead and blurred any of the easily identifiable faces of children that weren't family because I just didn't feel comfortable showing them on camera, and I'm sure their parents wouldn't appreciate that either. You'll notice while the front area that's reserved for birthday parties was very busy, there's a lot of empty tables in the back where families not attending birthday parties would sit. And I'm actually kind of surprised to see the birthday area so busy because a few years ago we called to inquire about the cost of having my kid's birthday party here, and we felt like the price we were quoted was very expensive. Ah, Mr. Robobop. This I remember from my childhood. I was kind of surprised to see this here. This is a much older game. And that was something else I noticed, was that even though this location just opened in 2015, there's a lot of older games here. There's also not a lot of actual just pure video games. This is an example of one of the few they have, Chase HQ 2 by Taito. And you'll notice too that the real video games they do have, for the most part, are driving games. It seems like since I was a kid, there's been a lot more emphasis put on ticket redemption games. Like this one here, the Cyclone Machine, which is another older game that's been around for a while, and I actually used to own one of these in my garage arcade. I have an interesting old video on my second channel if you're interested to see how this thing works. And this is another older game I'd noticed. It's so old that you can see the colors are kind of faded on it. I remember these machines being much brighter. I'm sure we've all seen the memes about Chuck E. Cheese being a child casino, and I mean, Chuck E. Cheese and Peter Piper Pizza and places like that had ticket redemption games when I was a kid, but I have to say the atmosphere now is completely different, and it does feel like a Las Vegas Junior. Even down to the little cups they give you for your tokens, and it cracks me up they drilled a hole in the bottom like somebody's gonna fill little shots of soda in there for free. Even the ticket muncher kind of feels like one of those automated cashiers that you see in casinos in Vegas. And here's more empty tables in the back non-birthday section. And again, this really surprised me because when I was a kid, Showbiz Pizza or Chuck E. Cheese Pizza would be packed on a Saturday, regardless if there was a bunch of birthday parties going on. Birthday parties really does seem to be becoming their core business, but like I said, their packages are expensive. When we decided not to have my kid's birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese, we were able to actually hire a lady that came out and brought all kinds of snakes and lizards and bugs and had all kinds of educational information about them and let the kids, learn about them and, pet the animals that were safe to pet. And it just seemed like a much better birthday party than one that you could have at Chuck E. Cheese. We certainly felt better about it. I don't think that's the original size monitor for that game, and that's something else I noticed is some of the lights were blinking and there just seemed to be some maintenance issues cropping up. Even the Chuck E. Cheese animatronic didn't look like it was in the best condition. It just kind of sways back and forth and the eyeballs aren't working anymore. And there's also a lot of garbage that was piling up throughout the time we were here. It really is kind of creepy the way that animatronic just kind of sways back and forth, and it doesn't seem like it's in time to anything like music or anything like that. It's just pre-programmed to do that. It's definitely a far cry from the animatronic shows that these places used to have when I was a kid. And here's the second abandoned location we'll take a look at. This one's in East Mesa, Arizona, and this wasn't a very old location at all. I was kind of surprised that it closed already. I'm not sure when it closed, but I was also surprised to find this piece of Chuck E. Cheese signage still in the parking lot. This broken off piece of Chuck E. Cheese's ear might be an interesting metaphor for Chuck E. Cheese being broken as a whole. You see, an interesting thing happened while I was in the middle of working on this video. Shane Dawson's video dropped about Chuck E. Cheese recycling their pizza, and I have a theory on that. I really doubt that that's Chuck E. Cheese's corporate policy to recycle pizza, and I doubt that's going on in their corporate stores, but like I mentioned earlier in the video, there's a mix of corporate-owned locations and franchise locations, and it wouldn't surprise me, and I think it's highly possible that maybe some unscrupulous franchise holders are doing that in order to save costs. I will say I don't think the franchise owner in the Phoenix area is doing that. We were actually pretty surprised at how decent the pizza looked for Chuck E. Cheese's pizza, but the evidence in Shane Dawson's video is pretty damning. And as the saying goes, it only takes a few bad apples to spoil the bunch, so because of that, abandoned Chuck E. Cheese's locations like this may be something we see more and more of in the future. As always, everyone, thanks for watching. Want to see your name here? Head on over to patreon.com/retailarchaeology to find out how you can help support the channel. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out my look at Chuck E. Cheese's pizza. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and also make sure to follow at the social media links down there because that's the best way to keep up with what's going on with the channel.